Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this exciting episode of the W Conversations. We have another interesting topic today. We're looking at empowered leadership, navigating entrepreneurship and career growth in the new normal. Today, we have the lovely Rose CBC, our media mogul, our Oprah Winfrey. Now, most of you would know Rose Sibizi. She's a media entrepreneur, and at the moment, she's a manager corporate affairs for a power utility company. And we're also joined by Helen Zulu Piri. She is the CEO and founder of Brenner Production, a media training hub. Thank you for joining us. I'm feeling like I'm with my idols and having to prove to them that I can do what they know how to do better. And just a bit of background for those that are listening to us for the first time. W Conversation is really just about having conversations as women. We have had some male guests and panelists, but it's really speaking to topics that we believe are very important for women in terms of conversating. So today's topic is focused on the intersection of leadership and entrepreneurship with career growth. Now, when we look at leadership, we're not only speaking at leadership from a perspective of hierarchy and rank. We are also looking at leadership in your own fields. And today, I'm honored that I've got a panel of people that are in the same industry. So we're looking at leadership in today's rapidly changing business environment, and we're hoping that the takeout from this conversation is going to be how empowerment is crucial for alignment in how we adapt and also how we build resilience with the changing environment. So to get the conversation started, I'm going to ask each one of you, starting with Rose, to just give us a brief on your journey, your personal journey into leadership and entrepreneurship, and what motivated you to get on that path.
Okay. So leadership is a gradual journey. It was just necessitated by the different roles that I played. I've got more than 20 years of corporate experience. Started from just frontline customer services, and it evolved over time, where generally when you're in a corporate space, you sort of work your way up to different levels. So early career was just customer service agent at DHL in Kitwe. I was there for 4 years. Moved on to Lusaka, where I worked for MultiChoice. That was my first supervisory position, where I was also in the customer services center, but given specific roles that I was dealing with. I would say my journey into leadership was really the Telecel, now MTN position, where I was the first customer service manager that was entrusted with developing and building a team from only about 2 agents that I had, one at reception and one in customer services, and then build that team over 7 years, that by the time I was exiting and transitioning out of Telecel, I had a team of about 20 customer service agents, 35 in the call center, and then a special division was created, which was a subscriber management as well. I was also overlapping in terms of dealing with bringing in people in the sales and marketing team. So I would imagine that that's where my leadership journey would have started. Moved to South Africa in 2003 after 7 years at Telecel, which was then moving into MTN. And in South Africa, I worked for Sony South Africa for 5 years, where I was engaged as a customer service supervisor, and then within 2 years, moved on to customer service manager. This was a national appointment. I was responsible for Sony retail centers across South Africa and the different provinces. And then it also entailed that I engaged authorized service centers as well. After 5 years, I then transitioned out and worked for BMW, where I was a customer service quality manager, as well as ensuring that the quality of the customer experience that was experienced by the customers who bought BMWs, what was their experience like? So I was there for like 2 years, and then stepped out into my own abyss. I started getting a liking for a larger part of my heart, which was in the nonprofit space. And I moved on to Charities Aid Foundation, which is now Southern Africa Philanthropy Group. And this was a special NGO that worked with corporate support services, but they focused on corporate social investment. that is what inspired me then to venture out and establish my own platform. So given that journey, I would imagine that my experience with leadership was from a point of how you engage with people that are below you, your subordinates, and people who are at the same level with you, who are your peers, but also how do you engage with different tiers of management. Kalumbo, I think what was very interesting for me and the privilege that I've had is that working for multinationals, you get exposed to different cultures, to different ways of leadership. So, for example, Sony South Africa was very defining for me because I served under a Scottish CEO, a Japanese CEO, and also a British CEO. So you understand that those are different and those define your leadership styles because you're picking from different types of pools in terms of shaping who you are as a leader. So that's what I would evidently say about that. And if I had to just compare it to stepping out in the last 12 years, where I've had to manage myself as a leader in my own business, you become everything. You have to understand what it's like to be a receptionist, to be the security guard, the accountant, the creative, the business developer, as well as the CEO or the MD and MD as well. So it's a combination of different aspects, and I guess as we get into the conversation, I'll unpack that further.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Helen, please share a little bit of your personal journey.
Okay, so for me, I worked for Zambian National Broadcasting for a long time. And I started as a volunteer. I worked on Smooth Talk as a flow manager, field presenter. Yeah, that's why I did like my first, like everything that I was learning from being a flow manager to being a producer to being a field presenter. Actually, I started with being field presenter, then eventually I was a flow manager. Then I did my internship in the newsroom. Then they employed me in the entertainment department. So for me, like, I really loved what I do. I love media, like, it's like my life. So everything I was doing, I was just thinking, okay, what next? What can I do? How can I reach more people? So even the most of the things that I'm doing now, it's something that I was already thinking about even as a young girl trying to pursue and finding my space in media. Because at the end of the day, most of the time when people just think, oh, I want to be a journalist, you're just thinking, I'm going to be on TV and present and do what? But then you find that there's so many aspects of media and you have to find what really works for you. So like for me, I hated the newsroom. Yeah. I hated the newsroom. I had to pass my internship, and unfortunately, my manager liked me and kept me for another year because then they introduced education news, and I was the first reporter on there, and so but I had to do it because I hate failing. But when now production came, an opportunity for me in production came, I went and we were the first people to be in the entertainment department. We did a lot of shows around the country and some even outside the country. Then we had to go to Now TV2 where we had to sort of spread our wings from doing entertainment to doing serious shows, lifestyle shows, like everything. But in all that, for me, I'm just thinking, okay, I'm learning. It was more for me, the space was meant for me to learn. I'm learning, I understand production, I understand what's happening behind the camera, post-production, everything, but I want to do more and I want to reach more people. I started YouTube while I was at ZNBC. Because I was thinking, how do people outside the country know what we're doing? So I knew that the only way, people are not watching ZNBC outside Zambia. They are seeing, yes, you go to Mansa to go, they know you, but they're not really seeing what you're doing outside Zambia. I started using YouTube. I would post here and there the things that I'm doing. So the time I said, okay, I think I felt like I hit a ceiling. I wanted to do more. I left ZNBC and I started full-blown to running my YouTube channel. On the other side, I had a fashion line. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work, but yeah, nightwear fashion line, like let us be there. But my main goal was to make sure that the YouTube channel is going to run perfectly. And when I started, I remember a lot of people on social media telling me, no, just go back to ZNBC. This is not going to work. Or if you want us to watch what you're doing, just put it on Facebook. Nobody watches a show on YouTube. And it felt real because you start with a big artistry like trending at the time and you're just getting like less than 1,000 views, so but you're just like, let's keep going. But at some point, I was seeing my numbers grow like no man's business. Within the year, I think the time I was leaving ZNBC, my subscribers were like at 2,000. Within the year of launching, by the end of the year, I think I was at like at 40,000. Yeah, so I was like at 40,000. But then that has grown so many years. We're at 3,000. I'm also thinking, what legacy do I need to leave? What impact am I going to have in this industry that I really love so much? I need to do more If I died today, people are going to remember me. Oh, she did this. There's more. There's things that are missing. And I'm seeing a growing number of people now, because people don't need to work for ZNBC or Diamond TV or any channel to be able to do anything in media. There's a difference, obviously, between a full-trained journalist and somebody who just loves media. But now, with social media, people can do so many things. But some of them miss that thing of like the professionalism. You always need it in whatever it is that you're doing. And also there's some people that are always, texting me, I need help, I want to start a podcast, or I want to be a presenter, what do I need to do? That's when I knew I needed to open a school to help these people. I felt like this will have more impact on a lot of other people, because I will not manage to be teaching people one by one in my inbox, like, okay, let me reply to this, let me reply to that. But instead we start something. And for me, that was like the beginning of learning to actually be a leader, because now I have a lot of people under me. So it's been quite a journey, but loving it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very interesting perspectives from each one of you. So definitely from your end, I know you said you felt you had hit the ceiling and needed to come out. And I know before we had this formal conversation, there was a discussion around, for you, it wasn't always about getting to the top. And clearly, I think that gives us another angle of career growth and trajectory, where some people are in an organization and aiming to be top CEO. There's others who just want to become leaders in their line of work, and you've branched into something that you are very passionate about, and you've pursued actively with the media training hub that you're now running, Brenner Productions. Now, what was a defining moment in your journey that led you into your current entrepreneurial journey? What was that light bulb moment or a defining career moment that just said, no, for me, I need to branch off, I need to do this?
I felt like, the moment I wake up and I don't want to do something, I feel like it's a punishment. I know it's time. Every time I was waking up and I feel like, oh my God, I have to go to work again. Especially if you're doing the breakfast shows and you're supposed to be leaving around 4 and you're just like, oh my God, this is not it. I know, because I know I love what I do. But I knew this is not where I'm supposed to. Like, I did what I have to do here. I have to move now. So that for me was like, that was it.
Rose?
The same aha moment. Okay.
Yeah, aha.
Aha moment, like aha.
Yeah.
I think the aha moment is a accumulation of so many things. It's something that I can't explain or describe. It's something that's inborn. And you'll find that the way I describe the aha moment is there is something in each one of us that we are probably criticized for the most. But what I've understood as I've grown spiritually is the fact that that is what God has put in you, that which comes naturally to you, that which you will get out of bed for. Like Helen is talking about, she reached a moment where she didn't want to get out of bed. When you reach a stage where I don't want to get out of bed for this, no. But I'm that kind of a person who, with my eyes closed or whatever, just tell me, Rose, say something. I've got something to say. You know what I mean? But also not just random things or just things that you just for the sake of talking. I was very criticized as a child, like from family, from school, from whatever. This one talks a lot, this, that, and the other. I mean, even with this, I can't be scripted. When I realized that I can't be scripted and I should speak from the heart, I think that's a defining moment. The fact that I'm genuinely interested in people. I started putting pieces together. When you're young, you don't realize it, but there is something that is a thread in your life that is a constant. Whether it's the workplaces that I've shared with you, I have this genuine interest in people. Like I want to know people's stories, not from an intrusive way, but just generally I can tell when people are happy or when they're sad, and just curious to know their stories from the time that if it's a security guard, if it's a co-worker, if it's anybody that you encounter, I was genuinely interested in listening to their story. And I have this way of putting that into words. People struggle to describe or to talk about things. I don't have a challenge with that. I am able to put into words something that is in our heart, in my heart or somebody else's heart. And the love for being able to speak. It's interesting that you speak about Oprah. A lot of people have called me that. And there are times when I've doubted it. I know that moment is still coming. I'm humbled that you still think of me that way, but I'm just feeling like I've got so much time, or so little time to get there. There is only one Oprah Winfrey. There is only one Rose CBC. What is it that defines us is the fact that you understand what you were created to be. You understand what your purpose is. My purpose is to speak to people and genuinely be able to explain their stories. And it's not far-fetched, even from a corporate side that I've shared with you. It's that if you look at my expertise, it was always dealing with people. People coming to you, asking you for solutions, asking you to help them in any situation that they had, whether it's a product or a service. And that, I suppose, created the technical side of then me wanting to create a platform that I'll be able to speak to people on, and that's where Style with Roses came from. It was a platform that I knew that there are people who feel less than they are really valued at, and the identity and the journey of it came from myself. I took a self-discovery journey over a period of years, especially when I was reaching a pivotal age in my life when I was turning 40. I literally, true story, fasted and prayed for 7 days before my 40th birthday. And I'll tell you about that some other time. And I vividly remember I literally got a revelation. I started getting curious about my name. Silly little things like, in my family, I'm the only one who has an English name. Why did my parents call me Rosemary? Everybody's Mwan Samuel, Chola. And I just one day Googled the power of technology. What is rosemary? And rosemary is a seaweed. It's contagious. It's something that it's beautiful, like seaweed at the bottom of the sea. Imagine seaweed. It just grows like a fungus. Everywhere it touches, it leaves an impact. That's the power of a seaweed. Then there was the rose. Then there's rose. Why am I rose? I started studying the analogy of a rose. A rose is beautiful. It is unique. It evokes so many different emotions from people. And therein came the platform. That was the download, that you are rose. Wherever you go, it's not a negative thing. All your life you've grown up, people telling you off about your outspokenness, your contagious nature. You're proof in itself, not to sound arrogant. You've met me before, but you have that memory, lasting memory. That's what a rose does. So I harnessed that, and I took ownership of it. I said, God didn't make a mistake. He created me to be unique. He created me to leave an impact and a legacy. What am I going to do with that? And that's where now I even took a leap of faith. When I left BMW, I mean, it's a 6-figure salary, not even current, like it was the creme de la creme of a job. It's very prestigious, man-owned invest. I remember my boss then. I struggled when I joined BMW because I was in the sales department, and it's a lot of numbers. Numbers are not my bestie. They're not my thing. And my manager, my sales manager, he was such a guru, like with Excel and everything else, and he'd always make me redo things. And I was just felt like I was in over my head. By the time I was telling him that I would like to leave, he couldn't believe it. Rose, you've just come into your own. You are just getting ready for the next level. By then, we were traveling countrywide in South Africa. I was presenting. I was speaking to people.
You had the job everybody dreams of.
Exactly.
And it's BMW.
BMW, dude, and we had like every 3 months. If I can carry on, I know the producer won't be very happy, but let me carry on a little bit. I mean, you're getting cars in every 3 months, customized. Tell me about the X3, the X5, all of that. So, what am I saying? That also sort of influenced my decision, because I believe that the world is not so much about the material aspect. It's about what will you be remembered for. And it really holds true now, especially after I lost my life partner. It's very, very important what you leave in the world. So for me, when you asked me the aha moment, it was waking up and realizing life is not about you. Life is not just about you existing. You have to do something and leave something behind. And that was also from the aspect of me being a mother. I became a mother at a very early age, and I was dealing with adult children, teenagers who had all sorts of hormonal imbalances and coming up with all sorts of drama. And I'm like, okay, how do I deal with this? So my aha moment is just harnessing your strengths. How can I turn the negative into positive? So my talking and my inspiring people culminated into the aha moment.
and eventually into entrepreneurship.
Into
It's harnessing
entrepreneurship.
what's within
When you do what you're given and you do what you love, the money follows naturally.
naturally. And when you do it so well, you become a leader in your own right in that field. Thanks so much for sharing. Helen, what challenges have you faced as a woman in this production industry? And yeah, how have you overcome that?
You know, I only realized later that somebody was telling me that, do you know that a lot of women have failed to have a show, for example, run this long consistently? And then it clicked, and I was looking around and I noticed how hard it is for a lot of, because this is a male dominated area. It's now that we are seeing a lot of women are pushing, but it feels like even sometimes people just have this perspective about any woman in media. They literally want to sexualize you. Like for me, that had been the biggest challenge, to try and prove to them, to say, look, I'm as professional as my male friends. I'm as professional as my male people in this industry. So I want you to treat me like that, and I want you to look at me like that. So it's always been a matter of proving yourself every new stage of whatever it is that you're doing. Every stage, starting from when I was at NBC, you want to be a proven presenter, you want to be a producer, and told it's like every stage, prove yourself more, 110%. If a guy is pushing at 50%, push at 80% or 100%. So it's always, that has been the biggest challenge. And now being an entrepreneur where you have to push businesses for yourself, like I have to be the face. Now you're dealing with so many people, and firstly they're looking at you and thinking, is she serious? Until you really show them what you can do. And then
like you constantly have to prove yourself more than your male counterparts.
Yeah, to have them really believe in what you do and what you can do. So that for me has been the biggest challenge. Other than that, it's been, it's a roller coaster. And I'm not saying that it's always easy for the guys, because they also have to go through their own things. A lot of people, I've met a lot of people that I found, people that we started together that have gone into depression because it's really hard, and they're frustrated, they've stopped, because it's not always smooth to get through. Small industry, growing, but we're fighting for the same spaces, fighting for the same partners to work with. So for some people, they sort of give up. But I'm always thinking, okay, if plan A is not working, let's go to plan B. I don't want one thing to define me and stop me from achieving it. There was a time when everybody was giving their content to this TV station. And I tried, one of the first people I tried, and I got some feedback that was like, no, I don't like your font. I don't like, okay, we can work on the font. No, so I just said, okay, maybe it's not time, but what do I do? Do I sit on the content? No, run to YouTube. And when I was starting, people were looking and thinking, what is she thinking? This doesn't work in Zambia. But no, for me, it's like, okay, these challenges are coming, but they're making me think more of what next. That's how I always have the what next, because the challenges will always be there. But I always know that if this is really meant to happen, there's a way that it will happen. It may not be what everybody's seeing, the straight line. Maybe I have to turn right while everybody else is going left. Yeah.
You mentioned the market being small, and how every one of your competition and counterparts are struggling to or fighting to partner with the same organizations, like a limited market. I know you've sort of answered this question, but maybe you can be a little bit more specific. I was going to say, how have you differentiated yourself and been more innovative so that you're getting those partners, you're getting the numbers that you're looking for? How have you tried to position yourself differently so that you are now top of mind?
So, the thing is, I always tell this even to my students and myself, like the only thing that makes me different from her is because I'm Helen. And it's I won't lie, it's very tempting when you're doing something and you think the next person is doing it better than you. They're doing it there, but that's their style. And sometimes you want to start stealing their style and thinking, maybe that's what's working for the numbers. But their idea for me is to look in deep within me and see, what did people like in the first place? What did they like? The moment, I think she said something about working on what you're good at and amplifying it. I also love to believe in that. I love to believe that I do make a lot of people very comfortable. It's a question that I get most of the time, like, how is it that when people come on your show, they're very open? I think I have the strength to make people very comfortable when they sit with me. And so for me, I try to dig deeper within myself on how best I can make that strength work best for me, even business-wise. Not just for entertaining people, and people watch and they're entertained because they're able to get the stories, but also how do I make it attractive to the people that are watching? So you try to make it professional, you try to make it catchy to your target audience and your target market business-wise.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely. Rose, I'm going to just circle back and go to people like myself, right, that are in a formal role. I know earlier we had a little bit of a discussion where I said that each one of us, even in our roles, should have that entrepreneur spirit so that you can then deliver better for the organization you're working for. Because truth be told, not everybody out there listening or watching us is an entrepreneur on their own. Like, they're not running a business. And when we think entrepreneurship, the first thing is, I'm selling goods or services, or I'm running a company on my own. How can we bring that fighting spirit that the two of you have shown over your personal journeys into the workplace?
So I think one of the things that we need to be very clear about is the workplace will teach you and mold you with systems and processes. You need that as an entrepreneur. No two ways about that. Much as we would say as an entrepreneur, you're doing like 6-7 jobs, you have to understand each function. What we tend to do when we're in the workplace is, if I am a manager, I stick to my role. I stick to my job description. We have this misconception that as a manager or as a leader, my job is just to delegate. You can't delegate what you don't know. So if you yourself need to understand what it is that you're delegating or what process your subordinates have to go through, then you perform better. Then also from a reporting type of perspective, having gone back into that space again, your manager, your director, your MD or CEO is also depending on you and your expertise to be able to meet targets, to be able to get that return in investment, to fulfill the vision and the mission of the organization. Do you know that a mission and the vision of an organization is not achieved by the CEO? It's actually at management level. It's at leadership level. So if you as a leader don't understand the measuring metrics and the goals that you are working towards, it's very difficult for you to do that. So speaking with what Helen and I are talking about as well, even as an entrepreneur, she had a goal. She says, I need these numbers for me to survive and to break through on this platform. This is what I need. So from the entrepreneur perspective, I found that helped me a lot as well. That very background of understanding different systems, processes, cultures, engagement with different types of people. How do you speak to different stakeholders? Of course, how you're going to engage somebody who is a dignitary or a stakeholder. For example, in my entrepreneurial journey, you know, the other hat that I wear is program director and MC for state events, international events, presidential events. Imagine what it's like. Do you know simply what that is? You're actually asking the president to stand up, sit down, come in. Now you can go. Now you can come and talk. The rest of you keep quiet. So what I always say about a privileged position like that is you are leading in a space where people are paying for. I get paid to do that job, but every person in that room is hustling to get a table, to pay for that seat, to be in the presence of that. If you don't understand leadership protocols, if you don't understand systems and process, if you don't understand etiquette, you're not going to lead.
Just out of curiosity and not to belittle anyone, do you feel that from a perspective of one's entrepreneurship journey, do you feel or would you suggest that perhaps those that have worked in a formal setup, you've spoken about, SWOT analysis, managing teams, from a formal perspective, do you feel that you would possibly have an advantage in terms of managing a business? Absolutely. Compared to one who just hasn't worked in a formal workspace? Because there's thriving businesses that have business owners who have never stepped in a formal role before. Just life happened, this is what they were good at, and they ran with it. Do you feel that that gives you a head start? The fact that you were possibly in a more formal and structured organization before you ventured out?
Yeah. Yes and no.
Okay.
It's a catch-22 chicken and egg situation, and I'll tell you why. We, from the creative space, both Helen and I are speaking about, for you to thrive and to succeed in the paths that we have chosen, you've got to have a natural inborn gift that allows you to do that, and the passion to fulfill it, and that's what drives you. That's all a person needs. They don't need to go to school for that. That's inborn. That's half of your entrepreneurship acumen done. But I'll throw it back at you, Kalumba. Why is it that even the most successful people, let's look at Kim Kardashian, what is it that allowed her to rise to fame? It was her beauty, her looks, and everything, millionaire and everything. Why did she go to law school? Why did she go to law school? All of the most popular and successful people that you know, Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates. We used to talk about people dropping out. Steve Harvey. Oh, these ones never. Steve Jobs established a multi-million-dollar right now legacy that supersedes and is global. They all end up going back to school because there is power in formalizing. It just gives you that business know-how, but also credibility. Because as Helen spoke about, in the business environment, for us to succeed, whether we like it or not, Kalumba, my business is not going to be supported if I cannot convince stakeholders that would sponsor my business or buy into the services and the products that I provide. I have to have the backing. We live in a world that is paper-based, whether you like it or not. Entry-level job in the corporate space, management leadership level, you need a degree, you need a master's these days now. There's also PhD and all of that. With all your experience, with all your exposure, I've experienced it myself personally. And I'm like Helen. Thank God you brought us together. I'm like Helen. My goal in the corporate space was not aiming for the CEO position. And as a result, I chose not to have the degree or the master's or whatever when I went into my entrepreneurial space. And then you sort of realize you only owe it to yourself. It's not a question of intelligence. So we have to also acknowledge that just because an entrepreneur has not achieved the masters, and most of them end up doing it anyway, they have a streetwise mentality that helps them succeed.
Any additions on that?
Yeah, no, for me, I always believe that school is very important. But like she said, it's not a defining factor, because I've seen people that don't have degrees that have done great things, very like natural intelligence, but they're able to do things, they're able to learn, and they're able to understand, and they're able to deliver. So sometimes, I'll give you an example. The most employed journalists, it's just now that a lot of journalists are getting degrees and whatnot, but you know that the most employed journalists then, because you know ZNBC was like, it's the biggest, where the ones that coming from Evelyn Horn with a diploma, most of the degree holders from Evelyn Horn would fail their internship. Like,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's book smart.
Yeah, I personally supervised a lot of them, and they were just like, hey, this is hard. So for them, they were coming with a degree mindset. This other person, it's just theory. We are coming from the University of Zambia, we're good. Then somebody's coming from Evelyn Horn, they have that urge, they just want to learn, they want to do things, and they'll just be sharp like that. So I do agree with her. Yeah.
So just some advice for aspiring leaders, whether it is in the corporate world, whether it is leading from an aspect of the kind of business that you're running. For example, if you have a hair salon, you want to be a leader in that space, and you want to be everybody to come to Kalumba Salon or something. Based on your journey, what key piece of advice would you give to any woman out there who wants to be a leader in their field, whether it is in the workspace or the business they're running? How do they become leaders in their space?
For me, if you want to be a leader in your space, first you need to understand your space. Understand your space, what you're doing, because the first thing that will get people to you is them trusting that you know exactly what you're doing. Once you know exactly what you're doing, sometimes it gets to our heads when we think people, oh, she knows best, but don't let that get to your head. Because if you're dealing with the business, especially that's dealing with people, you have to be a people's person. Know how to deal with different people, know how to deal with different personalities and characters. Most of the time, you'll be shocked that if you're dealing with different people, that you'll meet so many personalities that will shock you. So you always have to know how to adjust depending on the people that you're talking to, because at the end of the day, you want your customers to come to you. So you have to adjust. You can't just be, oh, because I'm Helen, I'm like this. I have to understand, oh, I'm talking to this person. What language? Do I even need to adjust my language? Do I need to speak local language just so I can get my customers? So understand, be a people's person, and make sure that you do your job so great that I always say your customer, your current customer, is your biggest marketer for your next client. Every time you get a job, like emceeing especially, I always tell people that if you're going to agree to be paid less than what you charge, still deliver like you've been paid the full amount, because those people that are watching there don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you're doing, is it the hair business, is it the media business, deliver it like you've been paid $100 million. Yeah. So yeah.
I like that. I was going to say, any key takeaway that you want our listeners or viewers to take away? I'm thinking I'll take away act like you've been paid $100 million
Exactly.
at
Yeah.
a time.
Absolutely.
Does that work? Or
Excellence
do you
is
have
an art.
anything else? Excellence.
No, we can end it there.
We can
yeah.
end it there.
Yes, let's end it.
Do the job like you've been
Do
paid
the
$100
job.
million.
Because the
Yeah.
people that are watching don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know whether you've been paid or not, but they're just judging you like, is Kalumba a good presenter? She's not doing such a... But you maybe say, after all, they've paid me a 2 pin. We don't know. We don't care.
don't
So, yeah.
I agree.
And you base the recommendation based on
What we're
how
seeing.
You're seeing
Yeah.
what you're seeing. So, last words. As part of legacy building, how do you hope to impact future generations of women leaders, whether it's in the corporate space or entrepreneurial space? And I'm saying this because, for me, you built quite a legacy for yourself.
Oh, wow.
As Rosemary.
I-
Sibisi.
Now you're putting it out there that my name is actually Rosemary. I'm just getting started, Kalumbu, actually. Attract, don't chase.
Attract, don't chase.
Attract, don't chase. I'm going to borrow on Helen's contribution, where she speaks about, you know who you are. You don't have to copy and paste. That's a pet peeve of mine. You don't have to try and be somebody else. You waste so much time trying to be somebody else, and you lose traction in giving the world the gift that you are. Because just who you are in itself is a gift. Every one of us has got something that is unique to us. And that's why I'm saying, recently, sorry to go off tangent, but even recently, we were talking about the legacy that you speak about. Be honest. When you see anything online that is a rose or something that says bud, blossom, or flourish, what comes to mind? Style with Roses or Rose CBC. And I've taken ownership very unapologetically that I own the rose. So build yourself a legacy that will make people remember you. Like Helen
And
spoke
remember
about.
you in a good way.
Remember you in a good way, not in a bad
Like
way.
you've been paid $100 million.
Like you've been paid $100 million. But also on that, what I've also learned over time, Helen, is that never be apologetic about charging your worth. Even if it means pulling back. If it means pulling back, you'll never see a limousine or a Rolls Royce advertised, a Lamborghini. They know their target market. One of our favorite movies of all time, Pretty Women. You go into a shop, they even tell you, they look at you and they'll say, you don't belong here. So live your life in a way that you yourself, even if everybody else, the world doesn't think so, but you yourself must believe it. It must be in your heart. Believe in your worth. Only what you believe is what you're going to espouse to the world. So that is very important. So for the youth nowadays, there's so much peer pressure, there's so much social media pressure, there's so much I want to be that. They get inspired by what they see in the different influencers or artists or mentors, but there's another side to those people that they aspire to be. And there's an area that you will never know about. And I think as leaders, we have to be accountable to knowing what it is that we put out there that is being consumed to the younger generation. We are allowed to be vulnerable. We're allowed to talk about failure. We're allowed to speak about losses. We're allowed to say, I didn't win. It can't be about winning all the time. Otherwise, why is there a Champions League? Why is there Premier League? Why are the biggest teams in the world who used to be top 3 are now on page 3. I know what I'm speaking about. I'm a Man U fan. We're now like, I never live it down in my house. Everybody's like, Mom, you've got no right to talk. You're like the whole page 3 and really going to the
At the
bottom. So you
bottom.
just keep quiet. So what I'm saying with that is that's what leadership is. Leadership is seasonal. Leadership is a responsibility to instill and impact the next generation that they become better for it. Because when our time is done, there are other young people that will emerge and will be tasked with leadership to take the next generation forward. There were
Leadership
people
and
before
mentorship,
us.
Yeah.
We are here now. There will be people after us.
After.
So what are we doing to impact how
Yeah.
our homes, our communities, our nations, and the world is led? So for me, it's live your truth.
Live your truth. Thank you very much, ladies. I'm humbled to be in your presence, learning, and I'm going to manage these conversations like I've been paid $1 million.
Please do that.
Never
The
look
moment
like
you
what you go
accepted to
through.
sit there, you
Yeah.
have to.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I hope anyone listening out there, do what you're good at as best as you can. Your business, your job, whatever you find your mind to do it with all your might, actually. Sounds
your
good.
heart.
And your heart. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, ladies. If you need any more information about the W Conversations, you can email zambiainfo@accessbankplc.com. And looking forward to bringing you another edition of the W Conversations, conversations that inspire, connect, and empower. This is under the W Initiative, Access Bank's Women's Banking Proposition. Until next time, see you.